We have now a good idea about system. What does an organization mean? We have a good idea about information, about data, how we treat data, the technology to treat data, how we can measure using smart sensors, etc. We have a good idea also about what an information system may mean, but we will give a detailed definitions about information system. We know that human was the heart, it was the heart of the information system. Every time there was organization in the human societies, and there was a type of information that were managed by human received data, analyzed data, registered data, etc. And a human was able to communicate this data and to treat this data. He could speak to communicate this data. He could write to measure. He can measure. He can feed the data. He can make reports, tables, statistics. He can draw picture, etc. What is an information system? It is an organized set of resources in a system that collect, store, process, and distribute information. So information system, it is about of the system in the city, in the school, etc. And it is responsible to collect, store, process, and distribute information. Also, a human is a part of the system, but now he gave an important part of its responsibility to the computer, but it stays in the information system. As you see, the circle, we have 3 circles now. We have the machine in the circle, but we have the information system that contains the human. He controls the machine. In a urban system, for example, a human can get the data and communicate it to the computer, but the computer also these days can get the data. The machine can get data directly from the system. If we have a factory, for example, some machines can communicate directly if there is a problem with the machine, but a human controls these machines. So we know that we developed a lot of tools to treat data. We knew what DBMS means, database management system. We talk about data and information. We should pay attention that there is some difference between the two terms. Data is the input of a treatment, and information is the results. It is the knowledge. But this, for example, if I measure a temperature and give this data to a computer in order to tell me if the condition in the room is good or not, so the temperature will be an input, so it is a data. And the result, when the computer will tell me that it's good or not good, it's comfortable or not, this is the knowledge that the computer gave to me, so it is the information. But we should pay attention that this concept is relative. For example, the situation, the air quality in a room itself may be an input for another system. For example, if we want to measure the mean of the temperature in a building, so the temperature in each room will be an input for this algorithm, and so it is a data. And this data will be treated in order to get the information about the mean of temperature in the building. So it depends. The concepts of data and information are relative. It depends on what type of treatment we're talking about. If we talk, for example, about the sensor itself, we talked in the previous lectures about a smart sensor, and we said that the smart sensor receive the value from a basic sensor, a basic temperature meter, for example, and convert it into digital value. So we can consider, if we concentrate on the smart sensor itself, we can say that the output of this sensor, it is a digital value. So the digital value itself, it is an information. It is an information that this smart sensor gives. There is two types of data treatment. Sometimes that needs an expert, and another, usually anybody today can do it. For example, the basic level of data treatment, to enter the data, modify data, add data, compare data, save, etc. Most of people now are familiar with the computer, and they manipulate some part of data. Most of people can use, for example, programs like Word or any text editor, and they use Excel or some other programs like these programs to make some small manipulation of data, but there are some advanced using of this data. For example, to extract meaning, data mining, to have knowledge from the data, it is usually not a simple task, and it needs experts. So it requires experience, and these layers of data treatment are being augmented. So we have now AI, it is artificial intelligence, we have machine learning, we have a lot of tools that facilitate, and there is specific branches of informatics now to treat data analyzer, for example, to make statistics about data. We can get a huge quantity of knowledge about the profile of a building, of a person, based only on the data. We saw before that the interface also between environment, human, machine is being changed. And when we talk about an information system, we should know that there is a lot of opportunity in these interfaces. So we should define our system. If you want to create an information system, we should know the component of the real system, but we should know also the available interfaces. There is an interface between human and the real system, as we see to the right of the diagram, when human can communicate with the urban system, and human can communicate with the computer, also with the machine, but also the machine can communicate directly with the system. We should know what is available today regarding these interfaces. We presented this diagram before, and we know that the information system, it should register, organize, analyze, transmit, change forms, etc. of data. As an example of these interfaces between system and human, it depends on the system. If you are in a factory, it is not as if you are in a school. So it depends on the system. Between human and computer, we know these interfaces. We know the keyboard, the mouse, the buttons, printed document, because we can print document and the human can read this document, etc. Between system and information system, it is related. If we have, for example, barcode, you know the barcode, it's one of the most, we use it in the supermarkets. It is the NFC. NFC, it is near field communication. It is what we see sometimes in the t-shirts, for example, when we buy a t-shirt, or barcode contain from 10 to 13 characters, so it is ancient. And you can see here that it is oriented to machine oriented, but at the same time, when if you see, you can see the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it is oriented to human and machine. So it is for both of them. QR code, it is quick response code. It is, as you see, it is, we don't see the human interface, but we can read it by a telephone. We can put inside almost 500 words, and reading can be linked to an action. So now telephones are programmed in order to read this code and to make some actions, for example, to connect to an internet site. So for this reason, we can see it, for example, in front of the door, and we can read it by a telephone, and we will be oriented to a site, and in this site we can have some information related to the door or to the building. NFC, this technology is interesting, and we use it in the metro. Usually it is for a distance less than 1 centimeter. It permits to communicate a huge quantity of data with important rate. It is for almost more than 400 kilobit. We should pay attention to the difference between bit and byte. If we want to convert it to a byte, we should divide it by 8. So it is about 50 kilobyte by second. So we can exchange a huge quantity of data when we enter the metro. It is enough to identify the person and to make the necessary calculation. What are the applications? We know a lot of these applications, electronic labels. We use cards to enter to our laboratories, for example. These cards, it is based on this technology. We can open the doors using this technology. What is important is contactless. You know, during these days with COVID-19, this quality is very important. Exchange of profiles between two users. We can use now our cards. Using these cards, we can communicate it to the telephone of our friend, for example. Reading product information. This we use it a lot, especially when we buy something from the supermarket, and the seller use this technology in order to know the price of this article, etc.